I've opened up my UV map and now I'm going to create a texture that'll be on the two cylindrical surfaces. I'll put a new layer in and I'm going to get my marquee tool, hitting M on the keyboard. I'm using the rectangle marquee tool and I'll hold the shift and I'll just drag a box shape and I'm going to fill that with a gray. Going to my swatches, I'll choose a light gray. In this instance I'm using, my gray is 215 for red, green, blue. Click OK, and I'll either hit G for the bucket or Option or Alt Delete, depending on my computer. And I'll deselect and I'll save. Going to my layer window, I'm just going to turn the UV map off for a moment because what I want to do now is I want to duplicate that gray box. So I could hit Command or Control J, or I could go to the white lines in the upper right hand corner of the layer window and I could choose Duplicate Layer. I'll click OK. And I'm going to put the bevel and emboss on that and the outer glow. So either I'll double click on the flat color over here or I'll go down to FX, putting bevel and emboss. And I'll play with the depth of that and the size of it. I want it to be kind of chiseled hard. It's supposed to be kind of a metal, so I'll leave it kind of like that. And then I'll go to my outer glow and I'll just make sure I've got a black outer glow. Now I'll max it out to 100% opacity and I got the size about, maybe I'll make it 10 for now. I won't know the exact amount I want until I actually scale that second rectangle in so that it's smaller. I hit Command T to get my transform tool. I'll hold the Option or the Alt, and if I click and drag I can go from the center in. So I want something like this, with just a little bit of a gray border around it. Again, this is pretty subjective, so something like that is perfectly fine. And I'll just kind of zoom in on this so we can see what's going on. Now I want to put kind of these little rivet shapes around the perimeter. I'll be using the same gray, but I'm going to hit B on the keyboard to get my brush. I'm going to make sure my brush hardness is 100%. And I'll make the brush small enough so that if I were to paint a dot, it doesn't cover up that gray border we have with the larger rectangle. So I'll choose a size that looks aesthetically fine. And I'm going to put a new layer on it. Go to New Layer, Command Shift N or Control Shift N, New Layer, or you can go to the bottom of the layer window and click on that white box with the cross. I'm going to just put a dot here, and I can't see it yet because it's the same gray as the other two layers. But if I was to go and copy and paste the layer style from the tile, the second rectangle, and paste it to the one I just put the paint dot on, I now have a shape that looks like this. And I'd like to have these all around the perimeter evenly distributed. So I'm going to go to Window, Brush Settings. And in the brush settings, I'll make sure that I've played with the spacing. I can see them separate like this. And now I'll go over and I'll click, hold my Shift key, and I'll drag across. That's a little too close. I'm going to Z that out, give them a little more space. Now I'll go ahead, shift and drag. I'll click, hold my shift and drag across. I'll click, hold my shift and drag down. Just go around the perimeter here. Now I want to scale this tile shape down and make a pattern out of it. So I'll begin by merging those layers, shift selecting all of them. As you can see in the upper corner here, so I will drag my tile up in there. I'll hit Command T and I'll just scale it to kind of fit that area. So I've got something this size. I'll hit M on the keyboard, I'll make a really precise selection. And I'll go to Edit Define Pattern, click OK. I'll hit Delete on the keyboard, deselect. Now with that same layer selected, I'll go to Edit Fill, and clicking on Pattern, I'll go to Custom Patterns. And the last entry is going to be my tile shape. I'll turn on my UV map, and now I'm just going to mask that area down to fit the first grid. So I'll make a marquee selection, just outside the shape of the capsule. Selecting the layer we just generated, I'll click on the layer mask icon at the bottom of the layer window. Now I have the pattern where I want there. I want a pattern on the little strip at the top, but I want it to be smaller. So I'll put a new layer in, and I'll fill that with the same pattern. Going to Edit, Fill, click OK. I'll now make a selection of that strip at the top with the Marquee tool, and click on the Layer Mask icon. Now I want it to be a tighter pattern on this piece at the top. I'll unlink the layer from the mask, select the texture itself, and if I would hit Command T on the keyboard, now I can go in and I can scale that down so it's smaller. Now in this instance, I need it to go across, even though I've made it smaller. I'll go ahead and I'll set the scale. I'll hit Command A on the keyboard. I'll hit V, and then holding down the Option or the Alt, I'll click and drag, hit the Shift, and I'll just drag another copy over. I'm just going to line those up. And I need one more, so I'll hold down the Alt to the Option with the Move tool, click and drag, hit the Shift key, and I'll line that, deselect, and save. If I were to turn off my UV map for a moment, I have something like this. And I'm going to use the same gray to start out with the other elements we have here. Now I'll put a new layer in with that, and I'm going to get my Marquee tool and make a bit of a selection around the propeller, and Alt or Option Delete to fill it, deselect. I'll do the same for, now the circles I'm going to make a color, but the arm is going to be the gray. I'll make a selection of it, an Option Delete, deselect, and save. Now I'll add a little color. So I'll go ahead and I'll add a new layer. And I think with the propeller I'll probably go in and make the middle, maybe a red. At this point now you're going to start to use your own color choices. But we do want to see a bit of a pattern in this area. I'll come back with the finished piece, and then you can see how your options are and what I'll expect when we start the animation process on Tuesday. This is the results I have after elaborating on the tutorial we left off with. I'll expect some sort of text. You can see in this instance I have kind of a door panel and some graffiti I took from a previous illustration I had done. Now I'll put the UV map on so you can see what it looks like in context. And then we'll apply that to our model.